war does not return because humanity forgets. It returns because the world is built in a way that benefits from conflict. There are structures, incentives, ambitions that breathe easier when nations don't. People imagine war as a sudden spark, a moment of madness. But sparks only matter when something is already soaked in fuel. War begins long before the first shot, in quiet corridors, in market prices, in fears left unanswered, in decisions that seem harmless at first glance. Nations move toward conflict the way storms form slowly. Silently, inevitably, pressure builds. Interests tighten, and what once looked like peace begins to crack under the weight of competing desires. Territory, influence, pride, resources. These are the currencies that shape the world. And when the balance shifts, violence becomes a negotiation. The battlefield becomes where the invoice is paid. The truth is that war contains its own logic. Once begun, it resists ending. Because every act of violence births another justification. Someone loses a brother. Someone loses a city. Someone loses a future. And suddenly, the war is no longer about what started it, but about what it has taken. Retaliation becomes a rhythm that beats louder than reason. People inherit anger the same way they inherit land. A child grows up under a flag that whispers who the enemy is. A teenager learns the stories of past crimes. By adulthood, the cycle has already claimed them. They march because others marched before them. They fight because history demands it. And no one remembers the first wound, only the last. But wars are not truly sustained by the soldiers who bleed. They are sustained by the rooms where no blood is spilled. War rooms, places where maps are more valuable than men. Here, the battlefield is a set of lines. Decisions are theoretical. Lives are numbers, not names. The men in these rooms do not feel mud between their fingers or smoke in their eyes. Their war is clean, ordered, strategic. They speak of acceptable losses, as if loss is ever acceptable. They speak of operations, as if operations do not carve mothers open with grief. And the further one is from the front line, easier it is to believe in necessity. Power sedates conscience. Distance sterilizes violence. And soon, choices that would haunt any ordinary man become routine policy. Meanwhile, economies twist themselves around conflict. Factories awaken. Resources shift. Money flows. For some, war is a tragedy. For others, it is a business model. And business models don't die. They adapt. In every generation, there are those who profit from instability. those who gain more from fear than they ever could from calm, those who speak loudly of honor, while quietly counting the cost of ammunition. They build reputations not on the lives they protect, but on the lives they're willing to spend. And so war becomes not a failure, but a feature, a method, a tool, a ritual repeated by nations that cannot imagine power without conflict. But beneath the politics, the maps, the money, beneath everything, there is something older, simpler, fear. The fear of losing status, the fear of appearing weak, the fear that if you do not strike first, someone else will. Leaders make choices not in calm rationality, but under the pressure of being seen. Nations act not out of wisdom, but out of insecurity. And humanity, for all its visions, progress, and pride, remains vulnerable to the oldest instinct of all, survival. Even when no one is trying to kill us, war feeds on insecurity. It grows in the cracks of pride. It thrives in the shadow of ambition. It seduces with promises of quick solutions, decisive victories, restored glory. And people believe, again and again, because the alternative is harder. Peace requires discipline. Conflict requires only momentum. Perhaps the greatest tragedy is that most who fight have nothing to gain from victory. They inherit wars designed by others. They die in battles they did not choose. And when peace finally comes, it arrives not as triumph, but as exhaustion. Silence falls. Cities rebuild. Flags are replaced. But beneath the surface, the same engines remain. The same fears. The same ambitions. The same wounds waiting to reopen. And so, the cycle continues. Not because humanity is doomed, but because humanity is structured around forces that reward conflict more than restraint. If war is ever to end, it will not be through treaties or declarations. It will be when we dismantle the incentives that keep the engines running, when power is not measured in threat, when history is not carried like a weapon, when fear is not the language of nations. But until that day, the world will continue to turn on an axis sharpened by violence, and we will continue to ask the same question every generation: why does war return? And the answer, whispered through centuries, is always the same, because someone, somewhere, still finds value in the fight.